contract agreement between licensed Army chiefs arrive KB, troops to rescue adopted schoolgirls. Government pushes for aviation sector investments. United Nations Security Councils adopt Trump's plan for Gaza. Tinubu urges Super Eagles to focus on AFCON. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ubong Musoro. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered security and intelligence agencies to immediately rescue the 25 female students adopted during an attack on government girls' comprehensive secondary school, MAGA, in Kebbi State. Gunmen invaded the school in the early hours of Sunday, killing Vice Principal Malam Hassan Makuku. The attack, which occurred in Danko Wasugu local government area, threw the community into deep mourning. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris says President Bola Tinubu has reiterated that protecting every Nigerian, especially school children, remains a solemn responsibility of the state. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Waidu Shebu has arrived MAGA community in Kebbi State, directing troops of the Operation Fasa Yama to go all out against the bandits who abducted students of government girls' secondary school, MAGA. Addressing troops during his assessment visit, the Army chief warned that bandits had developed a pattern of attacking soft targets, insisting that such tactics must be countered with superior strategy, intelligence, and relentless operations. He urged troops to sustain 24-hour operation until all abducted students are rescued and safely reunited with their families. The leadership crisis in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, intensifies today as the Ambassador Kabiru Tanimu Turaki-led faction briefly gained entrance into the National Secretariat in Abuja, but were later forced out, while the Senator Samuel Anyanwu-led group held firm control of the complex. A correspondent reports.
Tensions remained high throughout the day as the PDP national headquarters, Wadata Plaza, as security operatives struggled to manage the standoff between the two rival factions. Earlier in the day, the Anyanwu-led faction arrived first, took possession of key offices, and announced that it was preparing for its scheduled meetings. Hours later, the Turaki-led faction made its move. Members of the group gained access into the secretariat and announced that their National Working Committee meeting would commence immediately.
I want to call on President Trump. What is at stake is not just genocide against Nigerian Christians. He should come and save democracy in Nigeria. Democracy is under threat. I'm calling on all other developed nations, all advanced democracies, come and save Nigeria, come and save democracy. Because I cannot understand how a serving minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be leading talks, armed talks, and then with the active connivance or support of the police to come and create mayhem here.
But the situation changed following a heated confrontation inside the building. Security operatives intervened and escorted members of the Turaki group out of the secretariat, insisting that the situation was becoming unsafe. The Anyanwu faction maintained that their mandate remains vital and valid, describing the Turaki factions as an unlawful attempt to disrupt today's activity. Crowds of supporters from both sides remain outside, chanting and singing as police, DSS, and civil defense officers tightened security to prevent clashes. After being escorted out, the Turaki-led camp announced that it will reschedule its meeting for tomorrow, insisting that it remained the legitimate leadership produced at the Ibadan convention. The Turaki camp vows to return tomorrow to assert its authority.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has formalized the 2026 Hajj contract agreement between licensed store operators and the Wafa Mina Company, marking a significant milestone in preparations for the 2026 Hajj season. The agreement was signed by the chairman of the commission, Professor Abdullahi Usman, and the chief executive officer of Wafa Mina Company, Zoe Sadeyo, in a ceremony that highlighted the Commission's commitments to delivering outstanding services to Nigerians' pilgrims. The chairman emphasized that the partnership represents a shared responsibility to ensure that Nigerian pilgrims receive the quality of service they deserve for their investment in this sacred journey. The federal government has signed a memorandum of partnership with the United Nations Development Programme to mobilize resources for strengthening democracy across West Africa. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, says the partnership is aimed at addressing emerging challenges to democratic institutions while supporting countries in building resilient systems that serve citizens more effectively. Our correspondent reports.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, says the Regional Partnership for Democracy is a forward-thinking, African-led initiative designed to fortify democratic practices such as free speech, representation, inclusive governance, civic engagement, and regional dialogue. He underscored Nigeria's commitment to the initiative, emphasizing the importance of deeper regional cooperation and the potential of the partnership to strengthen electoral systems, boost civic participation, and support peace-building efforts across West Africa.
Democracy flourishes most sustainably when it is rooted in African values and attuned to local peculiarities or idiosyncrasies.
Country representative of the United Nations Development Programme, LC, at Tafwa, reaffirms UNDP's commitment to inclusive governance, citizen-centered democracy, and supporting African-led solutions that strengthen political stability.
Today's milestone signals that Nigeria is not only shaping the regional democratic landscape, but also charting a path for Africa-led, Africa-owned transformation.
Also speaking, Chairman of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Tura, called for democracy to be practiced the right way in the sub-region, stressing accountability, respect for the rule of law, and adherence to constitutional order.
It is being launched at a time when the social contract between the state and the citizenry is unraveling at the seams because of democracy as practiced in Africa and in our sub-region is notoriously thin on delivering on dividends.
The meeting observed that the ECOWAS region is still grappling with issues ranging from voter apathy to declining trust in democratic institutions. It emphasized that partnership offers a pathway to reinforce governance structures, promote closer cooperation among member states, and support the consistent protection of democratic values across West Africa.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, Resident Electoral Commissioner in Osun State, Dr. Mutiu Aboke, has urged political parties in the state to conduct their primaries in accordance with the law. A statement by INEC Public Relations Officer Olurode Musa in Oshobo noted that the conduct of party primaries in line with the law is important ahead of the 2026 governorship elections in the state. The Resident Electoral Commissioner appealed to all registered political parties in the state to strictly adhere to the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Commission's guidelines and regulations for the conduct of their primaries. Federal civil servants have called on the federal government to urgently clear the outstanding 3 months of the 35,000 Naira wage award, citing the rising cost of living and the critical roles that arrears play in alleviating financial pressures. The wage award negotiated with labor unions in 2023 was intended as a temporary cushion to ease workers' burden during the government's ongoing economic reforms. At the time, labor unions had threatened nationwide strikes if their demands for improved compensation and the cost of living adjustment were not met. Across Nigeria, a growing wave of artificial intelligence-generated videos is fueling a new kind of online fraud. From fake celebrities' endorsements to fabricated investment adverts, scammers are now using AI-generated videos to deceive unsuspecting Nigerians. Global Television Priscilla Obasi examines this growing trend.
From Nollywood actors to musicians and even religious figures, videos featuring well-known faces are circulating online, but many of them were never recorded by the real people. These videos, created using AI tools and deepfake technology, mimic voices, facial expressions, and speaking patterns to make the content appear authentic. The goal is to trick Nigerians into clicking, investing, or paying into fraudulent schemes. Many celebrities have taken to their Instagram and X to warn their followers, repeatedly debunking fake endorsements and investment adverts created in their names. Cybersecurity experts say the trend is rising, fueled by cheap AI apps that allow scammers to generate convincing clips within minutes. The videos often promote quick investment, fake cryptocurrency schemes, loan apps, or miracle health cures, all designed to exploit trust in familiar public figures. Regulators are also raising concern. According to digital analysts, AI-generated scams are harder to track because the content often disappears quickly, resurfacing under different accounts and pages across social media. Beyond financial losses, experts warn that deepfake technology poses a growing risk to reputation, politics, and national security. As Nigeria continues to embrace digital innovation, stakeholders say public awareness, verification culture, and a stronger cyber laws remains the best against AI-driven deception. Priscilla Obasi, Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, government pushes for aviation sector investment. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please do stay with us. In business, President Bola Tinubu has highlighted areas investors could explore in aviation to plunge their resources for good returns, urging players in the air travel ecosystem to imbibe collaborations, especially with operators in the private sector. To make Nigeria the preferred destination for aviation investment, Tinubu stated that the federal government already has on track the simplification of regulatory procedures, promotion of transparency, and offering incentives in areas such as airports, infrastructure, aircraft leasing, maintenance, and training. The Nigeria Customs Service said Nigeria's trade with other African countries hits 4.82 trillion naira in the first 6 months of 2025 from 600 billion naira recorded the previous year. Comptroller General Basha Adewale Adeniyi broke the news at the Customs Partnership for African Cooperation in Trade in Abuja. Adewale described the transaction as a clear signal of strengthening regional trades momentum. The Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, alongside major international oil companies including Shell, Total Energy, Mobil, has pledged full support for Nigeria's ambition plan to ramp up crude oil production. Their commitments were made at the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission's Project 1 Additional Production Investment Forum in London, a high-level engagement aimed at attracting investment and adding 1 million barrels per day to Nigeria's output. The forum convened leading operators, investors, and regulators to explore new investment opportunities address funding constraints and strengthen collaborations needed to meet the nation's production targets. On the foreign scene, the United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution that endorsed a peace plan for Gaza put forward by the United States President Donald Trump and a temporary international force in the enclave following 2 years of war. Resolution 2803-2025 received 13 votes in favor and none against, with permanent members such as China and Russia abstaining. The text of the resolution welcomes a comprehensive plan announced by Trump on September the 29th. U.S. President Donald Trump says the United States may open talks with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who faces escalating pressure from Washington amid a massive U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean. Zara Nazir has details.
It was one of the first signs of a possible path toward diffusion on increasingly tense situation in the region as the U.S. wages a campaign of deadly strikes against suspected drug trafficking boats off the Venezuelan coast and in the Eastern Pacific Ocean. Trump's statement has now provided a ray of hope.
And we may be having some discussions with Maduro, and we'll see how that turns out. They would like to talk. Well, in Venezuela's case, it's about drugs, and it's also about thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that they've released into our country. And some are gang members from Tren de Aragua, some are many are drug dealers, some are murderers. So in the case of Venezuela, it's the prison population. Their almost entire prison population was released into the United States. You know what that means? So they're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her. Okay, what about you?
Trump offered no further details about the possibility of talks with Maduro, whom the U.S. has accused of ties to the illegal drug trade, which Maduro denies. Zahra Nasser reporting for Global TV News.
Actions across London, with many questioning whether it can be enforced fairly. Mukhtar Kasim reports.
Some residents of London say the policy reflects public sentiment, but warn it could be difficult to implement without undermining dignity or violating international standards. Others doubt that the United Kingdom has the capacity or resources to return rejected asylum seekers, especially with the rising costs nationwide.
So I think it's a fair reflection of what British people want. However, in execution, I don't know how they can correctly do it in a dignifying way, because you see what Trump's doing in the US is a clear violation of human international law. So it's a clear sentiment in the UK, and it's a step towards a viable solution. But I don't know if doing these measures without any without this economy and this day and age.
I would hope they have a heart for everybody, but it seems that what you said, they perhaps don't have so much a heart for certain people as for others. The thing is, what I really would like to be dealt with is the people who exploit, the people who run these boats, and they exploit people for money and all the rest of it, and they live a life what I would consider totally inappropriate as to how they earn their living. They're the people I am against.
Now, there are also concerns about fairness, with some Londoners urging the government to focus more on shutting down human smuggling networks that exploit migrants rather than punishing asylum seekers themselves. As the debate grows, the government faces pressure to balance stronger border control with humane treatment and to prove that the new approach can work in practice, not just on paper. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
In sports, President Bola Tinubu has urged the Super Eagles to shift their full attention to the 2026 African Cup of Nations in Morocco, urging the team to recover quickly from Sunday's World Cup playoff defeat to the Democratic Republic of Congo. In a statement issued by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the president said the team must now focus all efforts on the Cup of Nations after narrowly missing out of a place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup for the second consecutive cycle. Nigeria's qualification hopes were extinguished in Rabat after a tense match ended 1-1 in extra time, with the Democratic Republic of Congo edging the Super Eagles 4-3 on penalties to move into the Inter-Confederation playoff. Former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua will fight YouTube star Jake Paul in a professional bout in Miami next month, with the two fighters set to share a reported $184 million purse. The 36-year-old Joshua will take on the YouTuber turned boxer at the Kaseya Center in Miami. Matchroom Boxing announced on Monday. The fight will consist of 8 3-minute rounds and represent a significant payday for both fighters, with reports suggesting an even split of the massive prize box. And that's it on Global TV News Express. Here's a recap of the top stories. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, today stormed the Maga community in Kebbi State, directing troops of Operations Fasa Yama to go all out against bandits who abducted students of the government girls' secondary schools in Maga. In business, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has highlighted areas investors could explore in aviation to plunge their resources for good returns, urging players in the air travel ecosystem to imbibe collaboration, especially operators in the private sector. On the foreign scene, United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution that endorsed a peace plan for Gaza put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump and a temporary international force in the enclave following 2 years of war. And in sports, President Bola 6th African Cup of Nations in Morocco, urging the team to recover quickly from the Sunday's World Cup playoff defeat to the Democratic Republic of Congo. A quick reminder, Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTime channel